Okay, Mrs. Rose, I know how to multiply polynomials. I've got it great. But how would I find the factors of a polynomial product? Well, guys, take a look at the two examples of the area models of multiplication. The one on the right is very clear to see that you have 52 times 46. And the one on the left is very clear to see that you have x plus 2 times x plus 1. But what would happen if all you were given was the partial products? What could you do then? Well, the first thing is just use your common sense. Common sense method works very well when the lead coefficient is a equals 1. So given this, x squared minus 15x plus 56, what are the factors of positive 56 that when added together give me negative 15? I have a trinomial answer, so I'm going to figure out right now that I have to have binomials as factors. Well, the first thing I do, common sense, x times x gives me x squared, so I'm good there. And then the factors of 56, well, I have 1 and 56. I have 2 and 28. I have 4 and 14. And I have 7 and 8. That would give me positives, but take a look. I have a positive product, but I have a negative sum. Oh, a negative times a negative would give me a positive. Oh, 7 and 8 add up to 15. Negative 7 times negative 8 gives me positive 56. How can I check to make sure I'm right? X times x, x squared. X times negative 8, negative 8x. Negative 7 times x, negative 7x. Negative 7 times negative 8, positive 56. Why, yes, Mrs. Rose, x squared minus 15x plus 56 does have the two factors of x minus 7 and x minus 8. Go ahead and make a card for your glossary talking about the common sense method. Put this as an example on the back, but then figure out what you're going to put as the definition. We'll talk about it in class tomorrow. So let's try this one really quickly. X squared plus 36x plus 68. What are the factors of positive 68 that when added together give you positive 36? Did you get this answer? Now, look at the next three problems. Ladies and gentlemen, you made a card from last night's homework where I told you to look for special patterns in trinomials. Let's start with the bottom one. This is an a squared, and this is a positive b squared. And if you look at this, this is 2 times the root of a and the root of b. This will very simply become x, which is the root of a, times positive 5, which is the root of positive 25, raised to the power of 2. If you want to check your work, go ahead and do the FOIL method. Now, what about this one? Oh, Mrs. Rose, a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. Oh, Mrs. Rose, that's the root of the first, the difference, the root of the last, raised to the power of 2. Now, Mrs. Rose, why did you skip the first one? Well, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I skipped the first one is there's one thing that you need to know about factoring polynomials before you get started. if something has a greatest common factor, you must remove it first. What is the greatest common factor of 4x squared and negative 16? That's right, it is 4. When I undo this distributive property, this becomes 4 times x squared minus 4. Well, Mrs. Rose, that's the difference of perfect squares. Greatest common factor times, let's see if you remembered your card, the sum of the roots times the difference of the roots. Very, very good. Now, Mrs. Rose, this common sense stuff isn't working for me because I really don't have a lot of common sense. Is there something else that I can do? Well, yes, there is. This is called the tic-tac-toe method. You can use it when A, remember your lead coefficient, is greater than 1. You can use it if it's equal to 1, but really and truly it works best for greater than 1. The first thing you do is you have to identify this as the first term, the second term, and the third term. And what you do is you put your first term here, you put your third term here, and on this line right here, it is the first term times the third term. And so x squared times positive 56 is positive 56x squared. All right? Now, on this little line right down here, you write the second term, and the second term is negative 15x. Now, what goes in the box? You need to find two factors that when added together, oops, you know what? Mrs. Rose has this backwards. I'm so sorry, guys. Let me ungroup this. Thank you so much. Thank you for being patient with me. You have to find two factors that when multiplied together give you positive 56x squared, and when added together give you negative 15x. Well, the first thing you know is that it has to be x times x gives you x squared, and x plus x, just you have an x. They both have to be negative because a negative times a negative is a positive, and a negative plus a negative is negative, and 7 and 8. All right, so now here comes the special box right here. This box is the greatest common factor of the top left-hand corner and the bottom right-hand corner. So what is the greatest common factor of x squared and negative 8x? X. And now it's time to play tic-tac-toe. X times what gives me x squared? X. X times what gives me negative 7x? Negative 7. And x times what gives me negative 8x? Negative 8. Now to check to make sure I'm right, negative 8 times negative 7 has to equal positive 56. And it does. All right. We are doing multiplication, correct? If we're doing multiplication, what we're going to do is we're going to draw a multiplication sign. And this is the huge mistake that most kids make. And our factors are in the multiplication sign. X minus 8 times x minus 7. If you need to replay this part of the video, please do so. And also, please write a card based on tic-tac-toe method and use this as your example. So, let's try it again. 6n squared is the first term. Negative 6 is the third term. And the product is negative 36n squared. And look at that. Mrs. Rose made a mistake yet again. because she put them in the wrong place. And I do apologize for that, guys. But you know what? What's nice to know is, yes, even your teacher makes mistakes. So let's try this again. Put the second term down here. Oh, the product is a negative, the sum is a positive, so one of the factors has to be negative and one has to be positive. N times n is n squared. What are the factors of negative 36 that when added together give me 5? Well, let's see. I've got a 1 and a 36. I've got a 2 and an 18. I've got 3 and 12. I've got 4 and 9. Bingo! There's a 5-point spread right there. The 9 has to be positive. The 4 has to be negative, because 9 times negative 4 is negative 36, and negative 4 and 9 is positive 5n. What goes in this corner? The greatest common factor of these two. 6n squared, 9n, they both have a 3n in common. Now time to play tic-tac-toe. 3n times 2n gives me 6n squared. 2n times negative 2 gives me negative 4n. 3n times positive 3 gives me positive 9n. Notice I've written things down and I've put the symbols there too. Positive 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Multiplication sign. Final answer, 3n minus 2 is the first factor. 2n plus 3 is the second factor. Now, why don't you give it a try? 16b squared plus 60b minus 100. Here's a hint. Find your greatest common factor first. All three of those numbers have a greatest common factor. I'm sorry, all three of those monomials. So, why am I telling you how to do this? Well, guys, when we get further on into the year, what you're going to find is that the answers that make it a true statement are the solutions of the quadratic equation that you had. So, go back to x minus 7 times x minus 8. Where this quadratic crosses the x-axis will be where x minus 7 equals 0 and where x minus 8 equals 0. This is called the solution. It is also called the roots, and we'll get to that pretty soon, but not today. So, do you need more help? Here are 3 very good websites that you can go to. The last one that's in black is actually an applet video type of thing that you can look at. AlgebraHelp.com and MathWarehouse.com are excellent to help you with. Don't forget, your quiz this coming Monday will cover dimensional analysis and polynomials. We'll also have an Illuminate session on Sunday at 8 p.m. See you then. Toodles for now. See you in class.